L'Oreal has come out with a new range of liquid lipsticks. These are the Laque liquid lipsticks. These are supposed to be up to 16-hour wear with a glossy finish. I was intrigued, so I picked up 8 shades. In this video, I'm going to show you lip swatches, a wear test, and I'm going to share with you my thoughts so far. So let's get into it. Alright, so this liquid lipstick formula is one that you have to shake really well. It's kind of comparable, I think, to the glossy vinyl inks by Maybelline. You have to shake them really well. You apply them on the lips. You let them dry down and then they adhere to the lips. They do become a little bit sticky, but they do wear for a really long time and they do have a little bit of that glossy finish. As I said, these are a really small, precise applicator, which I do really enjoy. Here in the Netherlands, they cost 19 euros each, but prices vary across countries, of course. Let's jump into the lip swatches. All right, first shade that I have here is the shade 215 Drunken Rose. I'm gonna shake it really well. This seems to be kind of more like a muted, darker rose, almost like a muted red. I really personally love these types of shades. I am very excited about this one. By the way, these have kind of like a vanilla scent. They are quite scented, but I do think it's quite a pleasant smell. I do think it's pretty easy to apply these with the small applicator that these have. Like, I think this is quite easy to do. As you can see, there is a little bit of glossiness to the lip, and it kind of turns a little bit more satin over time as it dries down. I think this is a really beautiful shade, a great shade for the range, kind of like this muted rose, a little darker. I think a lot of skin tones would be able to get away with this. So this was Drunken Rose. Alright, next up we have a shade that I'm very excited about personally. This is 220 Paris Sunset, and this looks quite cool toned, almost like a purpley nude. I think this is gonna be such a good shade. Like, I'm very excited about this one. Yeah, I really love this one. It's definitely a little bit of a purpley pink shade. Quite cool tone, but not muted. It has a little bit of brightness to it. I could definitely see myself wearing this one a lot. I think it's really cute. So this was Paris Sunset. Next up, we probably have one of the brightest shades in the range. This is 250 Pink Oulala, and this is a very bright reddish pink. Love the swatch of this one. I think this is gonna be such a fun shade for summer. I think this is gonna be so cute. But this is bright. This is gonna be almost neon. I think with this one it's a little bit more tricky to make it look absolutely even on the lips. And with the lighter shade that I've tried so far, I didn't feel like I had to dip back in, but with this one I did need to do like a dip per lip. I do think now it's looking good. It's looking smooth, but this one is a little bit more tricky. But overall, I don't think this is a hard to apply formula. I just noticed a little bit of difference. I do think this is a really fun shade, very bright. It is really like popping off the lips. Like, this is if you want a statement lip. I think it's really fun that we have this in the range. So this was 250 Pink Oulala. Next up we have a red shade. This is a shade 420 Rouge Paris, and this looks kind of like a cooler toned red. And we do have some more reds in this range, but I think from the shades that I have, this is the closest to a true red, if that is something you're looking for. I think with this one, it's a little hard to tell if it's actually like cool toned or warm toned. I think it's gonna be more of a neutral red in the end. Goes on super smooth. Yeah, this is a really beautiful shade of red. Definitely a true red. Quite bright. It doesn't really seem to have one or the other undertone. I do think this is a great like staple to have in this range. And I personally always think that it's nice when you're wearing like a full-on red if it does truly stay on. So this was shade 420 Rouge Paris. Next up, we have the shade 510 Cafe Parisien, and this is kind of like a burnt orange, kind of muted orangey brown. Looks like a perfect fall shade. I'm very excited about this. My lips are looking a little rough. Okay, the application is a little wonky, but I love this shade. Like, this is such a cool grungy brown warm tone shade that isn't like in your face orange. I think this is super cool, like really nice. I feel like if you let it dry just for a minute and then you rub your lips together, then it looks even more even. Like the glow of it, the shine of it becomes a little bit more even. Oh, I really like this shade. Like, this is giving me the fall vibes, even though we're just getting into spring. Like, this is giving me all the vibes. I think this is really cool. So this was shade 510 Cafe Parisien. Alright, I promise I'm doing my best to remove this from my lips, but it's pretty difficult. I am using a waterproof remover. Okay, next up we have the shade 520 Berry Bordeaux, and this one looks so good. Also like a really nice fall shade, also like a really nice vampy shade, but this one is a little bit more on the cool tone side, like a darker red with a Bordeaux purplish undertone. And this I think is gonna be such a cool statement lip. Okay, I said purple, but I do feel like for a Bordeaux this isn't like the most cool tone it can get, but it's definitely a nice vampy color. Okay, application 5 out of 10. Color 10 out of 10. This is such a beautiful shade. Once again, super smooth. I don't have any issue with like applying and smoothing out the pigment. Also, you can just go back over like places where you've been and just paint right over it. Like sometimes with really long lasting lip products, you kind of lift the product back up. Didn't have any issue, don't have any issues with that with this lip formula. This is such a beautiful color. So that was a 520 Berry Bordeaux. Okay, next up we have 601 Worth It. This is a shade that I know L'Oreal does in a lot of their lip ranges. It's kind of like this peachy, pinky nude shade. This is a shade that I did my wear test with, so I had this on all day yesterday up until like right before I went to sleep. I think this is a really beautiful nude shade. Like, you definitely see there is a peachiness to it. This one is really easy to apply. Yeah, this is just, it's a gorgeous color. I really like it. I do like a little bit of a peachy look to my lips, especially if it's kind of like peachy pink. I think this is a really beautiful color. If you like Worth It, then this might be a color to check out. So this was 601 Worth It. And then the last shade that I bought in this range is 635 Worth It Medium. So this is a darker version of that Worth It shade. A little bit darker, a little bit more brown. This actually looks like a really beautiful kind of like dark, warm rose color. I think this could be a favorite as well. Like, I love the tone of that. Yeah, this is such a good shade. I really, really love this color. It is just a little bit rosy, a little bit muted. It's not too warm, but it's also not super cool tone. Really like a nice, slightly darker nude with a rosy tone to it. I think this is really beautiful. This one I could definitely see myself reaching for again and again and again. So this was 635 Worth It Medium. So it is time for the wear test. I'm gonna be wearing this liquid lipstick as long as I possibly can. I have chosen the shade Worth It, and I am just very excited to see how long this actually stays on. Right now, as I'm filming this, it is 9:07, and I'm probably gonna go and wash off my makeup at 10. So I think that's a pretty good amount of time to test this out. The most important things are of course like the drinking and the meals. Okay, I'm gonna shake it up. Like, after 8, I'm probably not really gonna be eating much anymore. Okay, let's apply. Okay, by the way, I want to clean my lips. Wait a minute, because I did have a lip balm on. Okay, shaking it up part 2. It's looking a little crazy, maybe with so little makeup, but I'll fix that later. I'm gonna be filming another video as well today. Alright, I'm gonna be checking in after drinking, after eating, and yeah, I will see you throughout the day. Alright, time for the first wear update. It is currently a little past 11, and I ate some breakfast, I drank a bunch of tea, and I have to say that this is actually on my lips basically perfectly. I did see at the beginning of the morning a little bit of transfer on my mug. There was a little bit of transfer when I did a kiss test on my hand, but I feel like now that's kind of like gone, and it's still on very nicely. I feel like if you put on a little bit of a thicker layer, that kind of like wears off a little bit, but that doesn't mean that you're really going to be seeing like wear and tear. Okay, I'm gonna zoom you in a little bit to show it a little better. Okay, so the current state of the lips, I think it's looking really good. I think it's looking nice, it's looking smooth. It's not super glossy, but it definitely has a little bit of a sheen to it. It's a little bit like satiny almost. I feel like it's looking really, really nice still. and I have a lot of hope. By the way, I do feel right now a slightest hint of maybe like potential for this to start becoming drying, but we're gonna see how this is gonna wear throughout the day. I am really happy with this so far. I've been wearing this for 2 hours. In a bit I'm gonna have lunch and I'm gonna drink some more tea. After that we'll have another check-in. Alright, it's a little bit later in the day. It is currently 4:30 and I have eaten lunch, of course. That was a few hours ago. I've eaten lunch, drank a lot of tea, and I did my makeup. I'm gonna be filming another video after this with this look. I think this is a very long lasting lip product for sure. Like, I've had this on for quite a few hours now and I ate a sandwich, and if something is gonna rub off my lipstick, it's usually something like a sandwich, something I really have to bite into. Like if I'm eating something with a spoon or I'm eating something with a fork or whatever, or little bites, usually my lipstick stays on, doesn't really matter what the lasting power is, but this one did survive through a sandwich. I do have to say that at this point in the day, I feel like it has not exactly worn off here, but it's a little bit of a thinner layer here, and that feels a little bit more dry. It looks a little bit more dry at this point usually. I don't know if it's possible yet with this lip product, and I've been thinking, like, do I want to try and add a little bit more on top? I am gonna not do that to really see how this wears, but I'm gonna do that at night when I do my last check-in. I want to see if I can like reapply this, but right now I'm gonna leave it as it is. It feels a little dry, but it's definitely long wearing. I feel if you have less dry lips than I do, and I have pretty dry lips, then this is definitely gonna wear for a really long time. I still see some shine. It's not a super shiny lipstick. It is more of a satin, which I do enjoy. Like, it's not necessary for me, but if you expect this to be like a gloss-like shine all throughout the day, that's not gonna happen. But I really like how this is looking. If this weren't a wear test, I would just throw on a little bit of a gloss on top. I would just dab on a little bit of a lip balm, add a little bit more. It would be fixed. And I do feel like besides this, I don't really have any complaints. It does remain a little bit sticky throughout the day. Like, I can talk, I can do my thing, I don't mind it, but it's definitely not a full dry down non-stick formula. Sometimes you also have long wearing formulas where the stick kind of disappears throughout the day as you eat and drink. I don't feel like that's the case with this one. It remains about the same level of stickiness throughout the day, at least so far. I've had this on for like, I think 8 hours now. Yeah, I think if I hadn't had the sandwich, I think this would have basically been perfect. Now it's like worn off slightly. I'm actually really happy with this. I think this is turning out to be a really nice lip product. Alright, this is gonna be the last check-in for this wear test. It is currently 8:30 and I am done eating for the day. I will drink a little bit more tea later. I just ate like kimchi fried rice and I ate some ice cream, and this is what the lipstick is looking like right now after drinking a bunch of tea and eating a bunch of different things today. I feel like it's generally looking really good. It is not the type of long wearing lipstick that will flake off when you have dry lips, but it will dry in a little bit, and I think that's kind of like the only issue that I have here. Like, after this whole day I have just a little bit of like wear here in the center. It's just worn off a tiny bit. I feel like if I would just add a little bit of hydration, just the tiniest bit, that would probably be fixed. Besides that, I feel like this is quite a comfortable lipstick. It is definitely long wearing. I think if you don't have dry lips, this is gonna last amazingly on you. Like, I do really like it. And I don't feel like at the end of the day anyone would say to me like, okay, your lipstick has worn off, you have to touch it up. It's not like you really have to like look at it, pay attention to it, have to babysit it. So that's really nice. That's what I really love about it. But yeah, it's a little bit like dry here. It's a little bit drying. I feel like maybe if I would just touch up a little bit throughout the day after like eating something like a sandwich, that it would like fix the whole situation. So I want to add a little bit of this liquid lipstick here in the center and see if I can touch it up. The thing with, for example, the Teddy Tints by Maybelline was that I couldn't touch them up, and I feel like that makes it really hard to wear such a long wearing lip product. I just want to be able to touch it up a little bit if necessary. So I'm gonna shake it again. And I just want to touch up a little bit in the middle. So right here. I want to see if I can layer it. And a little bit in here. I feel like now it's looking a little thick. I'm gonna let that dry and see how I feel about it. Okay, I think it is dry. And I think this actually worked quite well. I'm gonna leave this on. I'm not gonna be taking this off. I think so far adding a little bit has worked quite well. But I'm gonna keep this on, see if it flakes off, see if anything weird happens. And then I will let you know at the end of this video how I felt about it after like the full day. But I'm just gonna leave this as a last clip I'm filming today. I do feel like you can see a little bit of the texture on my lips right now, but I think that could have been fixed if I had reapplied this earlier in the day, but I didn't want to do that because it's a wear test, or if I had applied a little bit of a balm on top earlier in the day. Okay. I'm gonna end the wear test here and I will let you know how the rest of it went. Alright, so in conclusion, I think this is a pretty nice lip formula, but there are definitely some things I have to mention with it that you have to keep in mind because it's definitely not a perfect lip formula. I think this lip formula is really easy to apply. It looks smooth on the lips. It has a nice glow to it. It isn't too glossy. It just looks really nice, especially at first, and I like the colors that we have here. I think they have a nice range. The thing that I would say is that these do remain, as I said, a little bit sticky. The stickiness doesn't reside if you just leave this on your lips, do nothing with it. Of course, I am gonna play around, and you can also play around with applying a gloss on top, applying a balm on top. But this video really is about what can this lip product do on its own without you babying it, trying to make it work. Next to that, I did feel at the very end of my wear test, when I took off the lip product, I could definitely notice that my lips had dried out during the day. And that's also what I talked about in the wear test. It is just a little bit of a drying formula. It's not a hydrating formula. I do want to try it more, just applying a balm underneath, see if it adheres to the lips. But that is something that I'm going to come back to in my new makeup updates. I do feel like I would have liked these even more if they were a little bit more comfortable on the lips, and they do present these as being hydrating and they do present these as being comfortable throughout the day. But I do have dry lips and I do notice that. So if you have really dry lips, maybe stay away from these. But if you have normal lips or you don't really have that issue and you just want something to last for a really long time, and that is what this formula does, this could definitely be for you. When it comes to the formula, I feel if you like the matte resistance from L'Oreal, or if you like the vinyl ink, the glossy version from Maybelline, I feel like you could like these two. This formula is kind of like those two had a baby, and then this is the formula that came out of that. Alright, that's gonna be it. That's everything I have to share with you for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and then I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.